This is Bad Boys Pilipinas. Hello mga kalaro, welcome once again to Bad Boys Pilipinas. Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon here with another analysis for the Detroit Pistons' 5th pick in the upcoming 2022 NBA Draft. For this episode, I am looking at Arizona guard Bennedict Mathurin. We'll go through his strengths, areas for improvement, and fit with the Pistons, and stay until the end to see which Filipino basketball icons I compare his game with. Mathurin hails from Montreal, Quebec in Canada and played 2 years for the Arizona Wildcats, the same college former Pistons 8th pick Stanley Johnson came from. He stands 6'6", weighs 210 pounds, and has a 6'9" wingspan. Just in time for the draft, Mathurin will turn 20 years old. This past season, Mathurin was consensus All-American second team, Pac-12 Player of the Year, All-Pac-12 First Team, and Pac-12 Tournament Most Outstanding Player. He was also named to the Pac-12 All-Freshman Team in 2021. In addition to that, he was a bronze medalist in the 2021 FIBA Under-19 World Cup Tournament held in Latvia, representing his native Canada. During his freshman year, Mathurin averaged 10.8 points, 4.8 rebounds, 1.2 assists, just under a steal in the block on 47% field goal shooting, 42% three-point shooting, and 85% free throw shooting. That's on 25 minutes per game. Suffice it to say that he upped those stats during his second season when he averaged 17.7 points, 5.6 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1 steal, 0.3 blocks on 32.5 minutes per game. His shooting percentages went down though, as he shot only 45% from the field, 37% from three-point territory, and 76% from the line. It is good to note though that his attempts went up, particularly from beyond the arc, where he shot 6.1 attempts during his sophomore year. And that is his primary strength, shooting from rainbow country. Like I said, while he shot at a lower percentage, he attempted more. But more than that, he was deadly when wide open and could pull up coming off of a screen. It was actually amusing seeing him pull up coming off of screens, as it was different from his spot-up shots. His spot-up shots are sort of like semi-set shots, while he goes into a full jump shot when he catches the ball coming off of a screen. But whatever situation he's in, he always had similar mechanics, which was smooth and quick. And he almost always keeps his hands out as part of his follow-through. Now that is something that a coach can appreciate. His three-point shot was also a weapon in transition, as teammates constantly found him on the break to take an outside shot, and he made them. On a team that has several potential attackers on the break, having that guy who can pull up from beyond the arc creates enough panic for transition defenders. Aside from his outside shot, Mathurin is also athletic. This is seen mostly during open court situations. Although paired with his off-ball movement, it creates a lot of backdoor passes and lobs. He uses his athleticism to attack the basket and is able to get past defenders blocking his way to the rim. It's that same athleticism and length that gives him the potential to be a good defender. Operative word, potential. He can be quick enough to beat guys to their open spots, and his length allows him to effectively defend ones, twos, and maybe even threes. When engaged, take note, when engaged, he can be a pesky defender on the ball, able to swipe it away from opponents. He also has the mind for intercepting passes in the lane and has a knack for coming up with on-ball or help-side blocks on occasion. Another area where Mathurin is showing good potential is his playmaking. He is developing as a pick-and-roll ball handler. And since the pick-and-roll is actually a play that is often used in the NBA today, continuing to work on it will be only beneficial for him. As for the areas he needs to improve, as with several of the other players I have looked at for this pick, Mathurin needs to work on his defense. While he has the tools, he needs to be more consistently engaged on this side of the floor. I'm starting to sound like a broken record player, but I guess that is something that a lot of college players just don't really have off the bat. Mathurin has often been seen flat-footed when trying to close out, allowing his opponents to just get by him. Other times, he makes mistakes and fouls opponents who pull up for jump shots. He can also get lost behind the screen and doesn't really try hard enough to recover when he gets beaten, resorting to weak attempts to swipe the ball from behind. You know what? He could benefit from watching tapes of current Sixers guard Matisse Thybulle to see how Thybulle utilizes recovery to still play good, even great defense. Another area that Mathurin needs to improve on is his playmaking. While he is already developing in that area, his current state just doesn't quite cut it. His court vision is not that good as of yet, and he is often a step late when it comes to making the pass to the cutter that he is usually on the receiving end of. Part of this is his still underdeveloped handles. Now, if he's able to work on his handles, court vision, and quick decision making, that is just going to put him in an entirely different tier of prospects. The last area for improvement that I want to point out is his shot selection. Oftentimes, Mathurin settles for outside shots, sometimes even when there's still a lot of time on the clock. Also, he can at times take too much on himself, unable to see the kick-out option. Aside from the pick and roll, the drive and kick is actually another set play that is used often in the NBA, especially with an increase in dead shot perimeter shooters. Mathurin will need to realize and recognize that the kick-out option is viable more often than not. As for other factors, one good thing about the current Pistons situation vis-a-vis Mathurin is the presence of other Canadians, Corey Joseph and Kelly Olynyk. And since he's from the French-speaking side of Canada, he might connect with Killian Hayes as well. Also, the kid seems to have a good head on himself. At an interview during the Combine, Mathurin mentioned that he went back to Arizona because of the feedback that he had gotten from the scouts before last year's draft. He knew he needed to become more consistent and he needed to bulk up. And he adjusted his game because of the weight that he gained. He also knew that he needed to showcase more during the Combine and really tried to do it. In another interview, he showed how good of a teammate he can be, opting not to choose his favorite teammate, but just to focus on work ethic. He's okay with playing off the ball and will accept that role if he's given it. In short, the kid seems to be a team-first player. In terms of fit, I see Mathurin fitting right in as an off-ball scorer alongside Cade Cunningham. He can cut to the basket or the perimeter in constant motion until he gets either a lob, the kick out, or is the benefit of a Stewart screen to free him up for an outside shot. His awareness of the things he needs to keep working on, as well as the knowledge of what he needs to showcase, fits in with the personality of the Pistons crew that we have right now. Hardworking and continuously seeking to improve themselves. Hoop intellect actually compares him to a less explosive Jason Richardson or a better Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Both actually have ties to Michigan, as Richardson is actually from the state and played for Michigan State, while KCP was selected 8th overall as well by the Pistons in 2013. Sports Talk Detroit has a higher opinion of Mathurin, seeing shades of Jaylen Brown in him. They pointed out that Brown came into the league much like Mathurin, without much fanfare and just being a solid player with a good perimeter shot. And now, he's in the finals as a vital cog for the Boston Celtics going against the Golden State Warriors. Personally, with his knack for off-ball movement and more than decent perimeter shooting, I actually see flashes of the Pistons' very own Rip Hamilton in Mathurin. His quick release off of screens reminds me of how Rip was in constant motion, running his defenders into Wallace screens, both Ben and Rashid, to receive a pass from Chauncey Billups to rise up for the jumper. Now, as far as the Philippine context is concerned, I have him right there with San Miguel Beerman's Marcio Lassiter. He will run you to the ground, come off of Junmar Fajardo screens, and stick a dagger on you from the perimeter with a little bit of Salt Bay action heading back on defense. And on that end of the floor, when engaged, Marcio can actually be just as pesky as his teammate Chris Ross. Going back a little further, but not necessarily changing teams, I see a bit of Don Ontiveros in Mathurin, mostly because of the same things as Lassiter. Now, you could actually also say that he's got Paul Lee vibes, but Lee is known more as a ball handler, which Mathurin just isn't quite yet. Now, I know that a lot of Pistons fans and several other hoop experts as well don't think that Mathurin is worth picking up at 5. A lot of draft stock observers actually have him in the 7 to 9 range. But I actually think that based on the guys I've looked at so far, Ivy, Murray, Sharp, and him, I would put drafting Ben Mathurin right below drafting Jaden Ivey at number 2 and right above Shadon Sharp. Again, it's the fit that works well for me, not just the game. As Sharp also sort of has the same game as Mathurin. And he might even probably be better. But Mathurin has the edge in terms of personality. And it has been said that the Pistons are drafting persons and not players. Now, while I did say at the start of this rundown of draft options for the Pistons that I believe in drafting the best player as opposed to drafting the best fit, but sometimes you can't neglect the fact that the best player also includes the player's fit alongside the other personalities on the roster. What do you guys think? Is Mathurin going to be this Pistons lineup's Rip Hamilton? Is he going to be as deadly as Super Marcio or the Cebuano hotshot? Does he have the same angas as the player from Tondo? Let me know in the comments down below. The 2022 draft is on the evening of June 23. That's the morning of June 24 here in the Philippines at the Barclays Center. I have a couple more options that I'm going to look at right before we go to the draft. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it by clicking the thumbs up icon. Also, consider subscribing to the Laro-Laro lang channel and hitting the bell icon so that you get notified whenever we have new content. This channel also has other shows on it that talk about local and international sports as well as other games. As always, this has been Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon. I hope to see you again next time. Until then, stay safe. Bye.
This is Bad Boys Pilipinas.